Hi, I'm Lori Betts. Welcome to Golden Years. My guest this month is Renato Maiorana from Griswold Home Care. So come on back. He is going to give us some tips on keeping your loved ones safe in their home.
On good days or on bad days, Medina County Office for Older Adults is a place where you can go and it's okay to be yourself. My life was topsy-turvy, and I look upon the day I joined Medina County Office for Older Adults as a day when I did a cartwheel and I landed on my feet.
Renato, thank you for coming on my show this month.
Thanks for having me.
And tell me, what is Griswold Home Care? Where did that name come from?
Well, Griswold Home Care is originally from Philadelphia. We started in Philadelphia in 1982. Jean Griswold is the founder of the company. She started this out of necessity, herself needing help at home. She has MS and was looking for an alternative to nursing home, assisted living type situation, and to help in the home.
Okay, so this is a franchise?
It is a franchise. We've got over 250 some locations throughout the U.S. We're located all over the place, and basically in the greater Cleveland area there's 7 offices. We've been in the greater Cleveland area better part of 10 years. I cover the Medina County area.
So tell my viewers, what is a caregiver that goes into somebody's home?
Well, basically with home care, what we do is we provide services in the home. We have activities, we call them activities of daily living. A caregiver would come in and help you with your daily needs.
Okay.
And those daily needs can be broken down into 3 different areas. With basic home care, it's companionship, homemaking, and personal care services. Those are the 3 types of services, and I can expand on that later, but those are the type of services that we are helping out with in the home. We have experienced caregivers that come out to the home to help out.
And there's so many agencies like you out there now.
Mm-hmm.
So tell my viewers, what do we look for? When we see mom is declining and she needs help because I can't be there 24/7, we call you up, and do you sit down with the individual and say, what are your needs or what are mom's needs?
Sure. That is part of what we do. Is when we go out, we do an assessment for the family. It's a no-cost assessment. We sit down with families, ask them questions to find out what are their true needs with the family. We also look at maybe personality traits with the client that we may be caring for to try to match them up with a good caregiver, with a good match.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of what we do. And I feel with the caregivers that we have, I mean, everybody's experienced. We don't have on-the-job training. These are professional caregivers. So those are some of the things that we can help out with. And again, recapping, it goes back to the activities of daily living. And those can encompass those areas that we mentioned.
And that has to be stressful because you do have to set up like you said, the personalities.
Mm.
And with my mother, she wants no one in her home. So how do you get around that?
Well, I always tell families it's an adjustment period. Yes, it's a new person coming in the home. It is difficult getting adjusted, but I always tell families, give it a couple weeks. Our caregivers are very unique. We've got great, caring, compassionate caregivers. They enjoy doing this type of work. This is what they love to do. Mm-hmm. I don't hire clock punchers. We don't have people that are just looking for a job. That's why I say before, we kind of go through a very extensive screening process and a hiring process and making sure we have a good match with the families. But to answer your question about, it is kind of intrusive in the beginning, but, I tell families, you've got to understand, you're at a point in your life where you need to have that peace of mind, the family does, and mom gets to realize that, she's at a point in her life where she needs additional help, or dad, or whoever it is. And this is part of what we have to do.
Mm-hmm.
This
is staying in your home.
Well, exactly, and it's less intrusive
Mm-hmm.
than going and packing up and moving into a facility or an assisted living. We're an option for families, and if that's something that they want to entertain, It's a discussion a family has to have, and everybody pretty much has to be on the same page, thinking, yes, this is something we want to do. So that's, what I usually do. Part of that is all part of our initial assessment when we meet with the families.
And the caregivers are bonded, they're screened?
Yes. We go through, like I said before, a very extensive screening process. They are fingerprinted. We go through a national background check and a state background check. We do that on a semi-annual basis. Our caregivers are also, we go through behavioral interviews when we hire them. We sit through numerous settings, numerous interviews prior to bringing somebody on board for us.
And your caregivers, can they take people to the doctor, shopping, lunch?
Yeah, well, that is part of what we consider maybe our homemaking and companionship services. We will help out with running errands, taking somebody to doctor's appointments, maybe social activities, church, if they want to go to events, to visit friends. We've taken people on, sometimes a bus trip, a casino trip.
Oh.
Families, a mom or dad want to go on a day trip or something. We've actually even arranged those too. So those
Okay,
are all
so
things
and
that we
if dad wants to go to the senior center to shoot pool?
we can drive them. That's not a problem. We will transport them in our vehicles.
Okay,
Yep, we will.
all right. Do you have overnight services?
We do offer, our services range from 24/7 to hourly, including overnight services. Sometimes it's just, overnight services I think are more so for families that have that peace of mind knowing that mom's got somebody in their home, sleeping there, being there with mom while she's sleeping. That gives people that, that peace of mind.
How does, for my viewers, how do they choose an agency? Because there's just so many out there.
That is a tough choice, but I think when people go through and look at the costs of what the charges are for the services, and more important on that, I ask families to ask the question and find out, what is the caregiver getting paid? What is the caregiver being paid? Because that will tell you the difference between organizations. You're looking at some companies that charge a higher rate and then paying their caregivers maybe a little bit above minimum wage. And I think you'll see that difference with us when you compare our rates.
And then what happens, let's say, because caregivers are humans, so they get sick or they get car trouble or whatever. What happens there?
The way that works is, we like to have continued care with our same caregiver coming out to the home on a regular basis. So in situations like that, we will provide a fill-in. Last minute situations, well, maybe they come out a little bit, maybe they're an hour delayed because of the accident or snowstorm or weather reasons. And obviously if they're sick, we usually know the night before. Girls do call us and let us know, and we would have a fill-in come that day and provide a fill-in.
And hopefully the senior accepts the person
Well,
and
the
realizes.
way that works is we obviously we let the family know ahead of time that a fill-in is coming.
Okay.
The senior themselves or the person we're caring for would know, but we will also notify the family ahead of time. We would let them know that morning, hey, Gloria won't be able to come out today. We're going to have a fill-in because she's sick. And we just inform the family ahead of time.
Okay. Do you have a lot of people wanting the same caregiver? I mean, do you have...
That is part of what we do with our clients. We offer them the same individual on a regular basis. That's more, I will say, I sometimes struggle with that when we have the cases that are infrequent or non-schedule, or not on a regular schedule, because that's hard for us because obviously we do have to schedule our caregivers. But I do have sometimes families that ask us, 2 weeks from now, or just out of the blue, we need some care, tomorrow. In short notices, I can't always say that I'm going to have the exact same person that they had previously, because maybe it's an extra day that they didn't intend on being there. We will do our best, but that doesn't always work out that way.
So let's say when you said not as frequent, so could someone call up and say, okay, I need a person at the home 3 days a week?
Well, the way we typically work is I tell families in order to have the same caregiver coming out on a regular basis, we like to schedule a week in advance. So our schedules are always made a week in advance so that I already can prepare and plan for that following week, upcoming week, so that we know.
They're not locked in to these many days this
No,
month.
no. You know, we are a pay-as-you-go service. You need us, you know, one day this month and another day 3 months from now, that's fine. You're not locked into, there's no deposits that need to be made up front. There's no, you know, money that has to be put down as a deposit. We're not looking for any of that. It's a pay-as-you-go service, and you need our services, you pay us at the end of the week. That's the way it works.
Okay. So it sounds like it's a relationship you and the children, you know,
we're very
sit down.
flexible.
Flexible. Okay,
And
that's the word, flexible.
Yeah, we're very flexible. You're not locked into any time period. It's when you need our services, let us know. But I ask families if, you know, to try to, if it's going to be a regular basis, that we know so that I can kind of continue with the same caregiver. And it's just, as long as you got that flexibility, the family needs that, and I understand that because this day and age, people do need flexibility. We work our cases, and people have also called us, you know, the night before and said, hey, you know, we don't need services today or for tomorrow, but you know, next week we want to change something up and wanting to come out Thursday instead of Friday. That's fine. We'll do what I can to accommodate the families.
That's a good that you're flexible because of the fact that on the other end, you figure the children, if their work schedules are so crazy now, you know, people are searching for jobs and they're getting their hours cut, and they might not have a regular schedule. So it's good to know that you can be worked with as far as...
We can, and accommodate. Believe me, we're not infallible. Things do happen on our end too. But for the most part, we're pretty accommodating to families.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back, and I want to know how you got started in this business.
All right.
I called 211.
A free community service that connects you with information about social, health, and government resources specific to Medina County. Call 211 for the info you need 24 hours a day.
211 met my needs.
211 helped my parents.
211 showed me the way.
I called 211.
When my boyfriend drinks, I'm the target. I found relief at Al-Anon family groups. Are you troubled by someone's drinking? You might be surprised at what you can learn in an Al-Anon family group meeting from people just like you. Call 1-888-4-AL-ANON or visit alanonfamilygroups.org.
Welcome back. I'm interviewing Renato from Griswold Home Care, and his agency services the entire Medina County. Renato, will you tell my viewers what is the difference between non-medical and skilled home care and medical?
Usually it's two different connotations, home care and home health care. Home care is obviously what we do with helping with companionship, homemaking, and personal care services. On the other side, the health care is typically nursing coming in for a acute problem or a actual injury, or actually remedying a situation, a health situation, medical need. Basically maybe IV therapy, wound therapy, could be even hospice situations. We work with a lot of the home health agencies out there to supplement what we do.
Yeah. Teamwork?
It is a team, because we do work with a lot of the other home health agencies in the county. They typically are in there for maybe an hour. A nurse coming out to the home, physical therapy, occupational therapy, those are the type of home health services. That's home health. And then home care is us with the bathing, the personal care, continence care, helping with the daily needs, activities of daily living. That's kind of the difference between us and the home health agencies.
Can your people oversee medications?
We can do medication reminders. We can help and assist people with their medication reminders, reminding them to take their medications. Usually we ask families to fill out the large pill boxes, the weekly pill boxes that have all the slots. Family will fill that out. Actually, sometimes local pharmacies will do that, no charge to families. You can check with your local pharmacy if you're not able to do it yourself. We can't do that because you have to be a nurse to administer medications.
Okay, I'm going to ask the million-dollar question. Does Medicare pay for these services?
Unfortunately, Medicare does not pay for these services. Typically, we work with private pay or long-term care, long-term disability policies. Those do pay for these services. Medicare typically will only pay for maybe the first 60, 90 days, depending on what the situation is. But beyond that, it has to be private pay or some sort of additional insurances.
And I do see a lot of people at my store, they'll come in and they'll say, okay, I'm willing to pay because mom and dad cannot do it anymore. And I have my life, so I give them limited time, but I can't be in both places all the time. So I'd rather pay someone to come in and check on them or help them.
Sure.
And keep them in their home. That's the goal, to keep them in their home as long as they can.
It is. Obviously, that's something that we're very passionate about, and trying to keep people in their own home, independently living at home, and safe in their own homes. But going back to your question about paying, a lot of times I don't think that families realize, we've had numerous situations with families not realizing that they actually had insurances to pay for home care services. And we usually try to sit down with families and have them go through the paperwork and look at insurance policies. Because sometimes it may have been part of their retirement benefits that they were paying. They didn't even realize that they had a long-term care, long-term disability policy. And it has been a surprise to a lot of families that we've cared for that have found out that they had insurances to pay for the services.
Well, and sometimes the children do not know what mom and dad have done in previous years.
Correct. And we do that through our initial home assessment. When we sit down with the family, we will go through our corporate offices and have them research the policy number and find out what their services, what type of insurances they actually have.
In the assessment, do you have the loved one present, or?
It could be either or. It's whatever the family decides. I usually do like to meet the individual prior to starting the services. The client is what we call them. But I always want to have a family member there present along with the person that we're going to be caring for. Sometimes we've met in facilities, sometimes we've met in a home, sometimes we've met in our offices too. It all depends.
How did you get started in this type of business?
Well, it goes back a few years, but I was in a totally different field of work, but I went through a situation dealing with my dad, who was terminally ill with cancer, and my wife, who was seriously ill at the same time. After we went through this whole ordeal, it made me realize that there was truly a need for this type of work, this type of service out there. But it wasn't just this type of service, because there are a lot of companies out there. I just felt that, you know, we had a knack in the way our company is set up and the way our model is set up, that we're able to help out families with the most affordable care out there. And along with our motto is that, you know, we truly take pride in finding the best quality caregiver out there. You know, we look at caregivers when we hire, interview caregivers, to look at them and say, could we refer this person to my own mother? That's basically our motto, and also the way I feel myself, because that's a situation I was stuck in with my mother and with my wife, trying to find good quality care. There's a lot of organizations out there, but I tell families, you know, you really have to look at what is the caregiver getting paid. Look at their wages. What are they getting paid? That's a true sense in finding out, you know, are they getting minimum wage or a little bit above minimum wage? Are they getting a fair market rate out there? And I feel that's one thing that we do well. Pay our caregivers a very high market rate in comparison to what a lot of the companies pay out there. And that ensures you're getting a quality caregiver. But getting back to your story, that was my motivation to get involved, was trying to help out my situation. But I saw families struggling with this. And, you know, sometimes it's, you know, very frustrating in my field, because when I go out to families and see that sometimes it's a last minute situation you're jumping into, and we're trying to be proactive on trying to educate families as much as possible out there about this as an option. Families don't realize sometimes it's like last minute, you know, mom and dad are really ill and they can't care for themselves, and you know, we're at an impasse right now trying to figure out what do we want to do. But sometimes it's actually even beyond that point, and it's already, something's happened, and now there's just a spiraling effect, and you want to try to be proactive about this. So, you know, that's why I'm very passionate about what I do. I love what I'm doing. It's something that I really enjoy, helping people out there.
Well, that's good. That's good. And there's a lot of people out there that do need the help.
There is. Yes, there is. You know, like I said before, this is something that our company, we've been around since 1982, over 30 years. And we've got a number of offices in the greater Cleveland area. In the greater Cleveland area, we've been around 10 years. So we have over 250 offices throughout the U.S. And, you know.
So, and can you tell in your situations, because I don't know how this all works, do you meet with your caregivers? Do you evaluate the cases?
We do follow up. We're constantly talking to families on a regular basis. We do actually go out and spot check and see how things are going too. We are always on top of things, and we ask for families to communicate back to us too. There's constant communication going on with the families out there that we care for.
Oh, that's good. Because you don't know. You don't know what goes on in the house.
Yep.
Yeah. And going back to the children, I mean, like you said, a lot of times they just wait for the last minute and they say, okay, we have to make a decision. You know, we have to do it now and see what road we're going to go down with mom and dad.
Well, that's what I was telling you before, is about, you know, trying to be proactive and try to get those things answered ahead of time, of sitting down and having a family meeting to have those discussions before you get yourself into a situation. Because I know I was already in the situation before even having an idea or a plan. And that's what we're trying to do, is trying to get families to plan ahead. It's just like you plan for retirement, planning for your kids going to college. You have to plan for what you're going to do, you know, in the long run, because it can be a very expensive decision, whatever decision you make.
And that is wonderful advice, to be proactive, because you don't want to make the wrong decision when you are forced to make a decision.
Exactly, yep. And those typically are sometimes rash decisions that aren't necessarily the best.
And your loved ones too. They don't want to be this situation thrown at them and say, okay, this is the bottom line. You have to do A or you have to do B.
Yep. And I always tell families, give us a call. You know, we want to educate families, let them know about our services, let you know. I mean, you know, we're not high pressure. You know, I meet with families all the time. I talk to families all the time. You know, we like to put on different events throughout the year too. speaking engagements and trying to educate families about our services.
And that is a challenge, because we know that. Because the children are so busy, like I said, with their everyday life and with their families, and mom and dad are living longer.
Yeah,
So it is an adjustment. I mean, it's full circle.
it is.
So what do you want to leave my viewers? What good advice can you leave with them?
Well, I tell families to, prepare, plan, sit down as a group, think about mom or dad's health or what you want to do long term. I think every family should have that discussion just to prepare and plan. But look at your options out there, compare costs, look at what some of the different organizations charge out there, and think of us as an option. I mean, I know that we're a viable option for a lot of families and a very affordable option. So just plan, look, educate yourselves.
And a good advice is listen to your friends, your neighbors.
Yeah, you can
word of mouth.
It is. You talk to organizations out there. There's a lot of county level help, Office on Older Adults, different organizations that can kind of give you information about services like ours. And I just tell families, educate yourself and look into, ask questions, call up the different organizations, and don't just call one, call a bunch, compare, look at the different rates.
Yeah.
Yep.
As long as they have the time to do so. If
Well,
you plan ahead.
But I think, in all honesty, you need to take the time, because you don't want to make that rash decision and just call one company and say, okay, I've done my homework. Call around, look at some of the different pricing, see what they charge, and ask again, what does the caregiver get paid?
Okay.
So-
Because the family is the boss. I mean, they are hiring your agency to come into their home.
Correct. Yep.
So, I mean, they should be prepared
Yes.
and do their homework. Check the websites.
Yep. They can look at our website too. And get that information off of there. But we'll come out, gladly answer any questions on the phone, or come out for a visit if they want us to come out there. So, and it's no obligation. We're never, like I said, we're not any ulterior motive.
Used car salesman?
No
Okay.
high pressure sales.
All right, that's good to know. Well, Renato, thank you so much for joining
Thanks
me
for
this
having
month.
me. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
And if you have any questions that you might need answered, or any other advice, you could always email me, or you could call me at GTB, and I could get the questions over to Renato. Remember, Medina County is so good to their seniors. There's a lot of organizations out there to help you. Have a good month.
Some dogs fetch and roll over. Some dogs take you to Spain and shopping for refrigerators, help you get through grad school, start your own business, go on hikes in the Grand Canyon. Some dogs you trust with your life every day. Being partners with a guide dog is having the freedom to do what you want in life. Nothing more, nothing less. And with your help, nothing need ever change that. Call 1-888-884-DOGS or visit guidedogs.com.
So, what are you doing, Mom?
Well, I'm reading again with the help of the magnified kit from the Medina County Library, and it has 5 different magnifiers on it. So some even have lights. You can try it out for 2 weeks so you can determine the right type to buy for yourself before wasting your money. I learned about it through the mcdl.info website.
That's the site where I found the services that I needed to contact when you took that fall. There's so many great programs available for the seniors and for people with impairments. I heard they'll even be linking to a county-wide senior events calendar soon. Now that'll really be nice for you.
Visit www.mcdl.info. Just click on the Outreach Services or the 55 Plus page. There's a wealth of information and programs waiting for you.